All right.
Are we recording? I can't see.
Recording in progress.
I guess so.
Very well. Well, welcome back to the January 24th Wenham Select Board meeting, re-adjourning from executive session at 7 p.m. here with the 3 Select Board members in attendance. First item coming up on the slide is public input. So as in the past, if you have something you'd like to speak on that's not on the agenda or within the confines of the rules, then please raise your hand in the chat room, and we'll look for that.
Patrick Waddell.
Right. So, Michelle, can you admit Patrick then?
He's admitted and unmuted. Oh,
All set?
Oh, there he
Yeah,
is.
we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. So I was just, Patrick Waddell, 5 Great Pond Road. I was just at the assessors meeting, and the room was full. There were 10 residents there in a very small conference room, talking about the assessment that just happened. So, I don't know if people know, but we had a huge shift in our assessments from our most expensive properties to our least expensive properties. 436 properties saw assessment decreases, and 871 properties saw assessment increases. This is really impactful to a lot of people as they're seeing their bills go up 60 to 70%. And my question to the board is, why are we just finding this out when we open our bills? If we knew, and I was talking to the assessors, and they knew this was happening 9 months ago. People found out in January when they opened their bill that there was going to be a huge shift. The largest shift was someone's tax bill went from $2,200 for the last quarter to $3,800 for a change of $1,600, and that's only for this quarter. Next quarter will be the same. We need to be better communicating with the residents to let them know that this is happening, that we know you're gonna get hit and you're gonna get hit hard. Get ready for it, because people were completely unaware. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there anybody else in the
don't see
chat
anybody.
room?
No.
All right. All right, then, on to announcements then. Steve?
Yeah, so this is first announcement. It's one that's been up for a number of meetings. This is the volunteer fair. This is held by the League of Women Voters, and it is on Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 8. So essentially what this is, it's kind of like a job fair, but it's for volunteer opportunities. So if you're looking to get involved in the community or other, volunteer opportunities that are available around town, with other nonprofit organizations, come on down. And I know that the town will have a couple of tables there, and there'll be representatives from the various boards and committees advertising the opportunities that are available for us. So again, if you have any questions, contact the Select Board's office or email the League of Women Voters at gmail.com. That's the email down the bottom. And probably easiest just to funnel any curiosity about this through the Select Board's office, so we can get you the appropriate answers or connect you to the appropriate individual. All right, this one was up last week too. This is just a reminder that the Master Plan Advisory Committee is doing what's called a meeting in a box. So meeting in a box is a civic engagement tool, basically to get you involved in the civic process and helping Wenham come up with its master plan. And so this box is essentially, it's kind of like a group game night. You open the box and it's guided through questions and facilitates you how to network with your friends, families together and come up with things that you like about Wenham and suggestions for improvement in a fun way. So there's a limited number of boxes are available. I've been told that if you take the notes on a separate piece of paper, the boxes are reusable.
Yes.
So if you would like to use a box and turn it back for its reuse, you can just use a piece of scrap paper on the side and use it like that. So any questions, Margaret Hoffman is the person you want to contact, but also Select Board office is available for any questions as well. And the same, I think, when you mute everyone, you all right, so in the same vein as with the master plan, so this is the existing conditions report. Phase 1 of the master plan is existing conditions. So this is available for you to make comments on. So in order to access it, you want to go to the link at the bottom of this. This slide is available on the Select Board's agenda and packet. So you can click on the hyperlink. We'll also put it out as a news feed on the website so that people can readily access it. And if you have any questions, give us a call. But we encourage you to read the report and make comments, because the more participation we get, the better.
Any other announcements, Peter or Diane? Nope, all right. Then on to Town Administrator's update.
Yep, first I just want to start off with, so the censor packets went out from the clerk's office just recently, and it was brought to my attention that there was the dog licensing program that it included a late fee for your dog registration. I just wanted to clarify that, and we'll put this on our website too, that there is no late fee, that this late fee was removed last year or the year before. And with the interim clerks, we sent out a mailer that still included it and was not updated, but that is in fact not correct, and we do not have a dog registration late fee. And the next update
If
is,
I may.
Yes,
It's
on the
a good,
census,
it's a
yeah.
good idea to do your census and register your dogs in the month of January.
yes, correct.
Because,
But you wanted to pay a late fee if
Right.
you don't.
Right.
but if you do not get that census form back, then essentially your registration to vote or to vote at town meeting falls away. Is that
So
correct?
if you don't complete the census, you are possibly changed from active to inactive with your voter status. It means you still can participate and vote, you just have to do special paperwork to do so. So it's best to keep your voter registration active by filling out your census every year.
Plus, the census information goes to the state and is the basis for programs and some financial aid to the town too.
Financial aid, residency, veteran status.
So it's
Affordable housing.
just a small bit of paper, but it's making money for the town.
Yeah, it should be very easy to fill out.
Yeah.
All right, and I just wanted to also just give an update for folks that aren't aware, and also people who are aware and want an update to it, is the annual town election is coming up in is April. And yeah, it's Thursday, April 6, 2023, and the seats that are currently on the ballot for this election is Select Board, Assessors, Board of Health, Town Clerk, Planning Board, Hamilton Wenham Library Trustee, Regional School District Committee, Water Commissioners, and Housing Authority. All seats are currently filled except for it's a vacant seat in the Board of Assessors, and the Town Clerk is also vacant. And at this time, people who have pulled nomination papers for the previously stated elected seats are the Board of Selectmen. There's been 2 nomination papers requested by Patrick Waddell and Gary Cheeseman, who is the incumbent. Board of Assessors, there's 1 seat that's vacant, and there has been no papers pulled. Board of Health, 1 seat. Regina Baker, who is currently is the only papers that are pulled, and she currently holds the seat that's going to be opening. School Committee, Dana Alera, 2 seats. She currently sits in that seat, and there's also an additional one for the School Committee that does not have papers pulled yet. Hamilton Wenham Library Board of Trustees, one Wenham seat is available, no papers pulled. Housing Authority, one seat available. And we had 1 papers pulled by Susan Herrick, and she is currently in that seat. Planning board, 1 seat. Town clerk, 1 seat with, planning board, 1 seat with no papers pulled.
Really?
Yeah, town clerk, 1 seat. And Lisa Craig and James Goody have both pulled nomination papers for that position.
Water Commissioner?
I do not have an update with the Water Commission on this.
I don't think anyone's pulled papers for that.
Yeah, they said the update you got last week was accurate, so if there was still,
Right.
so no, and nothing for the Housing Authority with 1 seat, no papers.
Dorothy Goody is going for what?
Dorothy Goody is
It's her
going,
seat, but I don't know if she's pulled papers
yeah,
yet.
Dorothy Goody is the Hamilton Wenham Library trustee. It's presently held by Dorothy Goody, but she has not pulled papers yet.
The only other comment on the school committee is made up of Hamilton and Wenham residents without quota one way or the other, so there's 2 seats available. Dana is from Hamilton and she took out papers. We would like to request a Wenham resident to run for that seat too, so if we could get people interested in that,
That'd be good.
yeah, that would be good. Be good to-
I know somebody I'll try.
For the school?
Yeah.
A lot of empty places.
All right, and I just
Thank
want
you,
to, quick update, CPC is meeting on Thursday night to review the applications. This is the meeting that was canceled due to a mistype in the agenda for last Wednesday night's meeting, so we pushed it off because we're within the 48-hour period. They're now meeting this Thursday to review the applications as a board, and then next Tuesday will be their first open meeting where they'll be hearing presentations by the applicants. And that's all the updates I have for you this evening.
Thank you. And the chair's report would be to remind folks that the very important 1 February at 4:30 PM when Town Hall closes, or with a 1 February postmark, is the last time to make an abatement for your assessment. So we know that there's a lot of bills out there that went much higher because of the shift of the real estate market, but you have the opportunity to file for abatements, but it's a hard state deadline, not local, so you gotta be in by 1 February on that one. We had the Select Board workshop on last Friday, so we covered changing the town employment conditions as far as work hours and days of work and other circumstances, so we'll be moving forward with that. I think it's unanimous. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so unanimous amongst the employees that they favor some of these changes, and we'll be moving with that. We also discussed the capital budget, and that we discuss further tomorrow night at the FinCom, which is at 6:30?
6:30.
Yeah, 6:30 at FinCom. They'll be concentrating on the capital budget. Word from Vicki Masson, our energy manager for the 2 towns and the school district, is she's seeking funding grant from the state for a climate action and resiliency plan, and we should hear back on that from July as the cutoff. Peter, anything?
I have nothing.
Diane?
I just have one comment that I'm coming back from surgery. I'm almost going up and down the stairs on my own. So shortly I can resume some of my select board liaison duties,
All right.
unless you want to keep those extra duties. I appreciate the coverage, but I can look into taking
Get-
some of
get
those
back into the
over
game, all right.
shortly, in a month or so.
So,
Let's talk about it afterwards,
Okay,
because I'm
Through
going
Steve.
for you on veterans.
yes,
all right.
thank you.
So, on to the consent agenda. And thank you, as always, to Catherine Tinsley for the superb minutes. And any comments, corrections, questions on the minutes? If not, the motion?
Oh, I move to approve the open session minutes dated January 10th, 2023.
Second,
And no further comments, the roll call vote, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
yes.
Gary, yes. All right, next item.
Where are we at?
All right. So Wenham Fire Department provisional call firefighter appointments. And can we admit Chief Kavanaugh?
I believe he's on.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, we're getting you on 1 second here. We hear you.
Can we see him?
Yeah, just drag up that black box at the bottom.
Ah,
There you go.
Steve?
Good evening. Let's,
Good evening.
Let's hear about these new firefighters that you have.
Well, we have 4 new firefighters. Cole Sampson, he is from Ipswich. He's also an EMT. Joshua Zabelski, he is from Danvers. Richard Delgado is from Beverly, and Matthew Dickman is from Beverly. And they just completed the intern program for 3 months under the direction of Deputy Chief Dan Sullivan. And this intern program basically gives the basics in preparation of the Mass Fire Academy, which is going to be held in October. And they've completed the course, and it is time for them to be appointed.
Very well. Questions, Peter?
Nope.
Diane? All right. So,
so I move to appoint as provisional call firefighters Cole P. Sampson, Joshua J. Zabelski, Richard R. Delgado, and Matthew J. Dickman for a term beginning January 24th, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
anything further? Otherwise, the roll call vote. Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. So welcome to our new 4 firefighters, and thank you, Chief. I know you have a great training program there to keep these people moving into the department.
Thank you.
All right,
So he's still here.
and we'll get the official signatures on the appointments later this week and out to those folks.
I think he has one more point.
Yep, he's
All right,
good.
and then we have one fire department EMT driver. You got that one, Chief?
Yes. This is Charles Hoffman. He is from Wenham. He recently completed the EMT program from Boston University, and he also attended American Outdoor School, where he's a certified wilderness first responder. And we would like him appointed as an EMT only and driver, pending successful completion of a physical inquiry check. And that'll last for a 6-month period, probationary period.
Very well.
And he will be welcomed on the ambulance.
Yes.
So we move to appoint EMT driver Charles G. Hoffman for a term beginning January 24th, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2023, pending the successful physical inquiry check.
Clay seconds.
All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. So congratulations, Charles. You're on board now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief.
He's still on.
He's still on. See, one more. Reading down. So, and this is a very important one
Great.
for the department and for the citizens at large, too. So you got it, Chief. You want to speak to the donations?
Yeah, just would like the select board to accept the donations of Albert and Juliana Dodge of $300, Monty Lowry of $300, and Thomas Yee in memory of his mom, Mabel Yee. These donations will go towards emergency equipment that we either comes up all of a sudden or we haven't budgeted for. And that could be anywhere from a Lucas device to hand tools to a thermal imager. It's very important with these donations that we get.
All right. Well, thank you to those donors, very generous of them, and then the town as well as the department thanks you. And we need to take a motion to accept the money.
Motion to accept the donation from Albert and Juliana Dodge for $300, Marty Lowry for $300, and Thomas Yee in memory of his mom, Mabel Yee, for $500, effective January 24th, 2023.
Clay seconds.
Nothing further, then roll call vote. Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And Gary, yes.
And thank you.
Can you add to that motion to the fire department? I think I forgot to put that in
Thank you very much.
the
Thank
donations to
you.
the fire department. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
right, so heading towards the town meeting here and starting to compile the warrants for town meeting, the usual financial ones, but some others. And Steve's been working on these and can give us an update.
Yep. So, this is just, I put some things out there that I see on the horizon that will probably need to be on the warrant, outside of the typical warrant articles. So looking at last year's town meeting, essentially about the first 12 or so will likely reappear this year. It's it's pretty standard operating procedures, warrant articles that exist every year. Actually just spoke with Margaret Hoffman just before this meeting, and the planning board does not intend to come forward with any zoning bylaw amendments this year. They're gonna wait until the master plan is complete. And then she said, be ready for next year because they're gonna have a lot. So it's that, any town bylaw changes that we can think of, but putting that out there as a placeholder. Collective bargaining, we still, although we're getting closer, we still have 2 of our 4 that are still in active negotiations. So depending on the timing of those, it may be a situation where we need to fund it through a separate warrant article, depending on, if the budget's already gone to print, or potentially amend the budget article the morning of, but it may be cleaner to just do a separate article. School fields, from here in school, the school joint meetings we've had, that the schools we should expect to see the request for the funding for the school fields. And I know that Hamilton many years ago put aside about $500,000 for that purpose, for essentially a fields reserve fund that they were going to contribute $500,000 contingent on Wenham's ability to match that in our 1/3, 2/3 split. So that means that Wenham will need to match by $250,000 to match their $500,000. So be a free cash appropriation, and we're running that with our budgetary forecast. So you'll likely see that as well. And then to the vein of the comment earlier about the tax bills, we're doing our research and seeing what's available to us at a local level for local adoptions to expand our exemption programs. So there's a section in Chapter 59 that allows us to double all the exemptions. So for example, the senior exemption for the senior citizens is $1,000. It would enable us to double that to $2,000. And same with the blind, veterans, and so on. There's also a special act of legislation that just came down last year. They have what's called a senior means tested exemption that we're exploring that option. And if that makes sense for the community of Wenham, it would be an additional exemption offered to our senior residents. I would be looking to add that. And also, right now, we have a $15,000 cap on our senior tax work-off. So essentially that, we have a $1,500 maximum benefit. So that allows us to get, 10 employees. We can get 10 senior work-off individuals to get the full benefit. So we're looking to remove that cap. So essentially to have an uncapped program so that as many people that are interested in getting involved in the town and contributing some efforts as a way to reduce their tax liability, that there would be no restrictions to that. However, the state law does cap us at the $1,500, and that's something we can't change.
So the individual cap is $1,500, but the program cap is not in the budget. That's actually comes out of the abatement overlay.
Yep.
Right? So there's money available there so that we could bring more senior citizens in and pay them at the $15 an hour, which is the max the state currently allows. And that's not a cash payoff, but it's a reduction in their taxes.
Right.
And
There's also that whole deferral program.
Yes.
Yep, and the deferral is right. Is right. The deferral program is currently offered to senior residents, and it's not really taken advantage of in most communities. It's not really taken advantage of, but I think it's a great program. So we defer your entire tax liability until you sell your home or pass. It's pretty good if the money, if you need the money, it's a great program.
Well, if you want to stop paying real estate taxes, it's a great program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any heirs,
So, we've got the initiatives to cover the school fields, and in total, the school fields, the stabilization fund at the school budget coming in, we expect to be at 1.6 million. There's ask out to both CPCs currently on the boards, and as I said, there's this 500 with our 250 match that may go into it as well. But it still comes down to, we'll see what the school committee comes in with as far as the total bill, what they're gonna look for. And that will have to be in by, we're looking for 21 February for them as well, to meet the printing deadline.
Yeah, 21 February, just for everybody, all the boards and committees, that's going to be the absolute drop dead date. We're able to extend the printer date by about a week and a half, which brought us from the 7th to the 21st, but that's certainly going to be a hard deadline. It's not just, can't call our bluff because we got to send it to the printer if people want their warrant books.
Anything else on that, Diane?
Oh, you didn't mention the appointed town, changing the town clerk
Oh,
from appointed to
right
elected.
there, yeah, and changing the elected town clerk to appointed position. Doesn't mean, Wenham residents can still apply, it's just, allows the town the ability to, hire the most qualified person for the job.
Peter, questions?
Nope.
Anything else, Diane?
it's all good stuff.
No, the matching Hamilton Fields Reserve Fund, I did a little bit of research, that's from when they sold off some of the Patton estate.
Yes,
That
way
they took some
back.
money and they put it aside. It would be nice if we had something we could sell off and then take a little bit of money and put it aside for the fields too. It's interesting that they did that with that Wenham has to match.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the contingency, I guess, is
Yeah.
built in.
As is, I believe, the Hamilton CPC is making it contingent on,
Wenham CPC?
yes, the proportional match as well.
Huh.
So we'll see. But certainly the schools still have the stabilization fund, the bulk of money's there.
Right, and they were doing some private fundraising, I believe, was
Yes,
the plan?
not
as much as they
what
wanted.
we were briefed at the 5 chairs meeting that,
Which donation are we talking?
yeah, the donations were just 257,000 so forth. The 250 from one donor, but long ways to go there if they're gonna.
I haven't seen
utilize that.
anything on that.
Yeah.
I feel like they haven't been asking very many people because it hasn't been out
For
there.
donations,
Right.
Yeah,
it was a hot topic last summer, this past summer.
right.
And I had people whistling or whispering in my ear that there were some people out there that when it was time to actually really donate, that there was some big money out there.
Now's the time.
Yes.
It's open.
We'll see.
If they could donate
Yeah.
soon, then
Because-
we'd know how much we need to put in.
Yeah, because, all the rest is gonna be borrowed money.
Right.
Yeah, so the public
I
understands that.
I will pursue it.
All right. Very well.
Whisper
On
back.
to item E then. So we'll pretty much push this on to the next meeting yet. So
Okay.
we really didn't get to it on Friday, but as we said, given the changing national economic picture, rising interest rates and so forth, that we need to review our investment policies. And Steve will be setting up a meeting with our
Yeah, financial
investment
advisors.
finance advisors.
What's their name?
I don't know.
Can't remember
All
their
right.
names either.
It's probably Bartholomew. but
Bartholomew.
I don't
Okay,
wanna-
yes.
I
Yeah,
don't
there
want
you
to
go.
misspeak and say that.
I think you're right.
All right. Then I think Joe is up next with from Kate Mallory's tree preservation policy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep, so I'm more delivering this update on behalf of Kate Mallory, but I have been working with her, and we are working on a tree preservation policy. And it's going to be called the Heritage Tree Program. And we are looking for springtime volunteers to help out with assessing town trees. And we have a few ideas where we're going to hopefully get volunteers. We've considered tax relief workers, Council on Aging COA walkers, and also Hamilton Wenham Garden Club, as well as potential options for volunteers. And some of the bullet points I have here, we're creating a townwide heritage tree program focusing on trees of special importance, including trees that are significantly large, significantly old, unique or rare, of horticultural interest, or have a documented history. And once these trees are designated, the tree cannot be injured or removed without permission from the town. And we're also going to be working on creating a story map database of the heritage trees. Kate actually sent me a link as an example. It looks really nice how you can kind of, it's like a graph where you can just kind of see the trees, and it's very, the graphics are amazing, actually.
Is there a story? I don't understand what the storybook part is.
Yeah, so it's sort of kind of a GIS map is how I kind
Yeah,
of
so if you think of it, the GIS map with a bubble, and in the bubble, we could create the story about that particular tree or
About the
grove.
tree.
Yes.
So, you know, we know that the old larches on Larch Row, so you could put right on the GIS line there, give the history of when those were planted and why larches and Larch Row came about, or others.
cool.
Yeah.
That's very, I'd love to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Another thing we're working on, obviously, like I said, creating a townwide tree policy, but also becoming a Tree City USA community designated by Arbor Day USA, which is a national program. And I have a quick handout that I gave to the board. And just becoming a tree city just has a lot of benefits to it. It just kind of shows everyone, tells everyone that the town is very interested in preserving trees and we care about the environment. You know, I was talking to Kate as well today, and it helps with actually obtaining grants as well. If it kind of comes down to, you know, how grants have a point system, and we're close with another town in the running of a grant, and they see that we're certified as a tree city, that could really help as well. So we're looking into doing that. To become a Tree City USA, there's 4 things you have to do. One is have a tree board or department, which we have a tree warden already. A tree care ordinance, which is another word saying policy, which we're working on. Community forestry program with annual budget of at least $2 per capita, which we have. And an Arbor Day observation and proclamation, which also has been done in the past with the town. So it's really just that tree care ordinance / policy that we're currently working on. And Kate's doing a great job, and we've been circulating drafts, so we'll definitely have updates in probably the next month or so.
So have you heard of ChatGPT?
I have not.
Yes, the artificial intelligence
Yeah.
writer, yeah.
Open source.
I mean, you can do a lot of research. I mean, just ask, it's amazing what this thing does.
Right.
I'll send it to you.
Yes, please, yeah.
What is it called?
It's called Chat, and then GBT, Optimizing Language Models for Dialogue, OpenAI, and Microsoft has just plowed billions of dollars into this thing. And it's, the people at Google are scared because it's so good at research. And here's the crazy thing, is universities are scared because if you're a
It'll write your term paper for you.
it'll write your term paper for you. It's really nuts.
Interesting.
But if we're always looking for grants, just type in, need grants for the following, and see what it comes back
Absolutely.
with.
New technology. Yeah.
So, with my little, our marketing person in my little startup, she did one, she said, explain hypochlorous acid as a pirate. And it came back, and I mean, it was the funniest damn thing ever. Lots of args and, but it did, it explained it perfectly.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
the university said, it's producing graduate PhD level papers artificially, yeah.
I was thinking you could, what I was reading about it, we could activate it on the website and use it as like a service, customer service
Right.
module.
Well, customer service, it's great at customer
So
service.
like you can ask questions and it will get you the information without having to know how to navigate the website.
Advancing fast here.
And sorry, just
The only one that's amazed.
one last quick point to the board too. The last thing we're gonna be working on as well is implementing a green infrastructure also in yearly tree planting and street work plans. So having green infrastructure can help with a lot of things such as storm water, and obviously it's cheaper than getting equipment and environmentally friendly as well, so. a lot of good things in the works. hopefully.
Yes, the tree policy is moving along, should have that shortly, I think.
Yes.
And working with the Conservation Commission and Open Space Rec on that as well. So we'll get their inputs and have it to us shortly, I believe.
Talking about trees, don't we have a tree fund? Like
Yes, so the
Albee Dodge
The Albee
Tree
Dodge
Fund?
Tree Fund, and
How's
that's
that
one
working?
thing that we're working on too, is to compile a full list of all the donation opportunities we have. So we have the fire department tonight.
Yeah.
We know police, we have the COA board, and the Albee Dodge Tree Fund and so forth, as well as WISH that you're working on.
Yep.
And so we'll compile that full list and get that up on the website so people can see where they can help each other out.
And so wouldn't that fund be able to help with some of the tree?
Yeah, so that's,
Planting and
yeah,
whatnot,
in the
yeah.
policy.
Absolutely, I think so.
It's been
Yeah.
written in.
It is, okay.
Right.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
thank you, Joe. On to G. So the question is, does the select board want to provide a letter to the Community Preservation Committee concerning our ask for the HVAC for the historic town hall? We already know we're gonna have a presentation by, Joe, you're making the presentation on behalf of the town hall, right?
It was either
Oh, Steve?
myself or Steve.
Yeah, Joe and I will
Yeah.
take care of that,
I'll
yeah.
make the presentation. Do the two of you want to also add a formal letter stating our priority on HVAC or some other matter to the CPC? Or just leave it at the presentation?
I think we should just leave it at the presentation.
So, because it's on our ARPA list as well.
Yes.
Because it's high
Yeah.
priority for us.
That's what was confusing me.
So it's on the ARPA list because it's high priority, but it is eligible, or could be eligible for CPC funds. So I
Yeah.
guess
Oh.
the thought is perhaps CPC might not feel obliged to grant that money for the HVAC if it's already in the ARPA funds. But the problem is if they do grant the funds, then those ARPA funds can be used for the next thing on the line. So we could get more use out of our ARPA funds if we could utilize some CPC
But
funds,
aren't
right?
CPC funds also gonna help us with the fields?
Well, it depends, the CPC has oversubscribed list of funds. So you have Affordable Housing Trust, you have the HVAC, you have a request from Wenham Museum, from Harbor Light, from the schools, and so forth down the list. So they're gonna have to make some compromises somewhere, even if they decide to utilize the entire CPC bucket of money. Their requests exceed that at the moment.
So if we ask them to fund the HVAC, then we can go further down our list.
Yes,
Because that HVAC, that's like, is that 100K or 500?
that's the
500 is what we're
500K.
running with, yeah.
So you can go much further down the list.
And
and
our
it's-
ask is how much?
500.
500K,
Ask the whole thing,
yeah.
That's
okay.
almost,
So that can, if CPC picks that up, that allows us to do things on our ARPA list that CPC can't do, as they have just the three: affordable housing, historic preservation, or open space as
Right.
their categories.
so we
so-
spent a total of 1.7 ARPA filled.
We will, yes.
And
Yeah,
so,
we
so then
hope
if
so.
we take 500,000 out of that, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can now do.
Yes,
Yeah, public safety.
Yeah, so the question is, the letter is gonna say, hey, would you please pay for the HVAC?
yes,
Yeah, I'm in agreement
And
with
then
that.
because the reasoning we put the ask in is so that the ARPA funds could be moved down the line and be used for something else.
Yep,
That
Um,
doesn't mean
We
it
only
creates
went
us
to- we went down
$500
12.
surplus. We have,
Right. Do we know how many applications to the CPC were going towards historic resources?
you have, Joe may have the answer. We
It's the town
have
hall
the town hall and town security, right?
and town security.
Yes, and would the museum count as,
Historic.
would that be?
Yeah, so I'm not sure, because that's an outdoor thing. They may be coming in on open space,
So it sort of
And then
depends
there's
on.
the
Yeah.
town hall security upgrade as well, and of course the town hall debt, which is an
Right.
annual application as well. That's all that comes to mind for historic
Replacing the
preservation.
front doors,
That's on our
Security.
ARPA.
That's ARPA.
ARPA.
The security is,
Yeah, we rolled for the context CPC, we rolled, our security request includes security and the front door.
okay,
So
It's
that's,
fully funded.
including
why
those
it's-
pillars outside? Or
Yeah,
no, yeah,
yeah,
the pillars
yeah.
outside too, and all of that, okay. So, I mean, in the past, the CPC has tried to do a little bit for all of the applications, maybe not the full fund, and that would even be,
yeah, that'd be.
I mean,
Would certainly
just
help.
something, we just don't want them to reject us because they see that it's on our ARPA list, right? So you think a letter from us is
Yeah,
important,
I
or do you
think
want it
the
individually?
letter to prioritize at least that the HVAC, I think in agreement is, if we're gonna get partial money, we should put it to the HVAC as our,
You would rather have all for HVAC and not for the security, or?
well, like it all, of
Well,
course,
like it
but,
all,
you know, give an indication
Plan
that,
B.
you know, as we prioritized all the ARPA stuff as well, that we see, you know, just by the dollar figure, the HVAC is what will give us the better flexibility.
So you want us all to write a personal letter, or do you want to write a letter from the board?
No, I think we had put out just a simple draft
Okay,
that says, you know, the
what we
Wenham
said.
Select Board urges the CPC to
Okay,
due consideration to the town hall HVAC as a priority.
And I could explain, when we meet on Tuesday, I can spell it all out as far as, you know.
share our thoughts.
Yeah.
I really think the biggest thing is just that the priority list is the priority in terms of need, not necessarily, you know, what we want to spend the money on. So it, you know,
Right.
if they're all important, it's just we know that if, you know, if push comes to shove, we have to replace the HVAC no matter what, because it's literally ruining the building. You know what I mean? Every day we waste. But if there's an alternate funding source for that, it allows us just to get further down an already established priority
Correct.
list.
I think we all agree with that. I think that's
Yeah.
how we were thinking in our minds anyway.
All right,
So I move that the select board send the presented letter to the Community Preservation Committee.
Thank you. Second,
all in favor, Peter?
Yes?
Diane?
yes.
Gary, yes. All right, so Steve will
For
take
that, we
care of
need to
that,
make motions.
and we can, all right,
There we
so,
go.
we'll give this one to Steve, traffic issues.
Yep.
And this is mostly, especially for the public, a background as to the limitations the town is on as far as putting up signs.
Yeah, so just some context. We have a couple concerns about residents. Been getting feedback from residents about a couple locations around the Bucher School. In additional, there's another location that's not part of this, but it's kind of lumped in because of the restrictions that the DOT puts on the local governments. So we met with the police chief, the fire chief, DPW director, with superintendent of schools. We've all sat down a couple times. We've went and observed these locations of concern. And, you know, I think that everybody feels like there could be something that we could do to make things a little bit safer. But the problem lies in where this is kind of unraveling as we do our due diligence. But the town really doesn't have the ability to put like a stop sign up, or say a one-way from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. for drop-off times, without the authority given to it by the Department of Transportation. So there's two ways to go about getting authorization. One is to designate the Bucher School, well, it's already a school, but to designate a school zone around it, a formally designated school zone. So what that entails is you have to, you know, have it surveyed, have a map drawn of it, and identify, you know, access points to the school, the likely pedestrian travel, submit it to the state with your plan, and then if they agree that, you know, the extent of the boundaries of the school zone and everything makes sense, and they'll allow us to designate it a school zone, and what that does is it gives us flexibility to do things like that under our own accord. But in absence of that, that's quite the undertaking in and of itself, you have to, each instance needs to be supported by a formal traffic study done with traffic counts, average speed across different times a day, and then that report reduced to writing, and then a number of other applications, and the DOT comes out and works with you and ultimately makes the call whether you're allowed to put up like a stop sign or things like that. So I guess it's a long way of saying that it's very involved. It's not as simple as, you know, the police chief or the DPW being like, yeah, I think a stop sign could work there, and put one up. That's not the case, but we're still going down. We're still finding out more and more as we're researching this process, and I'll keep everybody updated.
Well, it seems like it should be designated as a school zone. It's been a school forever.
Yes, and it's a matter of the boundaries too, because currently, when we put in the warning light at Edo Avenue, so we discovered that, yes, the school zone, although it's just 100 feet away and so many kids take that route, Arbor Street, for instance, is not in the school zone. So it's very narrowly defined right now, and perhaps, you know, the one route is to open up that area, but it's gonna, there's cost,
Yeah, time and
especially
money.
time.
It
to,
costs money to do that.
Yeah, to
We
do
have to have
that
a
too.
professional survey of the area, map it, come up with pedestrian routes that they'll take, identify crosswalks, existing crosswalk stop signs, you know, the way the foot traffic would flow to and from the school, and then, you know, identify how big of an area you want. And obviously it can't be excessive, and that's what the state comes in, making sure that you're not being too blanket with your
Right.
application of the school zone.
One other thing that could help in the meanwhile is if people just slow down, because that's the main complaint, that on narrow roads, that, you know, excessive speed. I think what the one complaint was, 40 in a 25 zone during school time, delivering their late kids to school. So a little driver courtesy and, you know,
Yeah.
would help a
That's-
lot on this particular issue around the schools.
Yeah, but once we know exactly what each entails, and, you know, a better map forward, bring it back to the select board, and then you guys can decide, you know, do you wanna move forward with one? And, you know, obviously there'll be costs involved, but we'll manage the project and,
Oh, it's interesting.
thorough.
Yeah, it's a little bit more tedious than just saying, you know, let's just make this one way for this amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad.
All right, so to be continued on H. On to I.
So will we reach out to the residents that had reached out to us and just let them know that we're researching we can't just do these easy fixes that seem easy?
yeah, I think that's fair. I can reach out and correspond back to them.
Okay.
I mean, we have been in
Contact.
contact, but
Yeah.
they don't know that piece yet, so.
Yeah.
So, Select Board calls for town volunteers for the senior work-off program. So, I mentioned a little bit before, but, so this is up to 100 hours at $15 credit per hour, which will allow you to take $1,500 off your tax bill for the year. That it's, program's run by Jim Reynolds. It had more participation prior to the pandemic, and for those reasons dropped off, but certainly have openings now. And certainly as summer approaches, you know, we're looking at lots of trees in town to
Trees,
mark that.
yeah.
And it's not just a look, so that's actual measurements, photography, identification by species and so forth. Certainly there's opportunities within the town hall here to assist different departments on catching up on, you know, easy
Millions of
stuff, filing and so forth, as well as Peter joined me with as well as the rest of the staff on a bit of clean out of the basement the previous Friday. And so now that we have the law of the records moved out, the remaining that we need to keep also need to be digitized. So there's gonna be a need to digitize stacks of paperwork so that information can actually be researched, as well as, you know, some other ideas that we can come up with. One of which that we've offered to the high school students as well for community service is to catalog, identify, and write up a history of all the artifacts in Town Hall. So
Right.
maybe with someone with a history or a writing expertise might pick up on that. But the bottom line is Jim Reynolds is the one to contact at COA. It's a good chance to reduce your tax bill and also get involved in an area that you may have some expertise in.
So that also works for the library. They use lots of
Yes,
senior
yeah,
volunteers, any department. I think if you reach out to Jim at the Council on Aging, although it's on the website as well,
Right.
all the information, then there's lots of different things to do inside, outside.
And if they come to us with some expertise, I think we can match them up well and use that as well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Joe, I think you have an update on Iron Rail?
Yes, yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an update. So we're actually going to be calling this the Iron Rail Highest and Best Use Study Scope of Services. So what we have been doing is, and I have a handout here for everyone. We have been working with Andrew from the Iron Rail Commission, I should say Margaret Hoffman and I, and we have created, Margaret's been very helping to create a scope of services that we are circulating currently. This, I want to stress, this is a draft proposal right here. But we've just laid out the different avenues we want to take with this. And I didn't check with the Inspector General's office, and this actually does not fall under the 30B law, but I thought it'd be best to at least mimic it. So I have been in contact with a good handful of potential companies, and I've gotten one quote back so far. And we're hoping to obtain at least 3 or 4 quotes before we move forward with this. And, you know, it seems the consensus seems to be it'll be about a 2 to 3 month project, the feasibility study. And as you can see on the draft document here, some of the things we've laid out, the 6, you know, different pieces of land we want to have them look into: DPW facilities / garages and water tower, Iron Rail cemetery, soccer fields, baseball field, the Iron Rail parking area, and Iron Rail building and Boy Scout barn. And I won't go through the whole thing, but these are kind of the bullet
So,
points
Joe?
here. Yeah.
So what's not there is the land between the barn and the cemetery,
Okay.
because that's
That's what we took
the
down.
jewel on that property.
As well as, you know, the proposed cell tower.
Yes, that will be included.
Further on the northwest edge of the property as well,
Right.
so.
We'll be sure to add those. Yeah, so, you know, they're gonna look into zoning, transportation, market validation, residential trends, just kind of going through the whole property and just seeing what, you know, what good use we can make of it. And even development alternatives, we wanna get at least 3 of those as well, for, you know, any kind of, we'll see, commercial or wherever we wanna go with this. But, so this is basically, the Iron Rail Commission is meeting, I believe, on the 31st as well, to go over everything, and we're hoping to move forward with this quickly. As everyone knows, it was approved through ARPA, 50,000, I believe, for the study. So, we're excited about, you know, doing this.
All right, thank you.
Questions? 30B? What is that?
Oh, yeah, so that's mass procurement law.
Okay.
So when it's, you know, supplies and goods, so when there's a certain threshold, monetary threshold that's met, you have to go through the procurement RFP process
Okay.
or obtaining quotes, depending on how much the, you know,
And
the
so
service is gonna be.
this does not
No,
qualify for
it
that?
does not, no, because it's a feasibility study. But, you know, it wouldn't hurt to mimic it, so that's what I've been doing.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so.
And so this is just what we want to get out of a feasibility study?
Yeah, so we're gonna
and then
send
we'll
this-
look for someone to do that for us?
Right, we're gonna send these to, once it's finalized, to the potential companies, so they can kind of look at it and kind of give us a better
See who wants
quote. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Onward then to K. So we should note that this meeting tonight is the first back on HWCAM, and thank you for our assistant Libby for setting that up for us tonight. But the use of hybrid, this is our second meeting, so feedback from the two of you as to you think this is the way to go, and open it up to other committees for their use in this room here?
I think allowing people to join by Zoom means more people are going to participate, as opposed to having to walk down here or drive down here. I think it's a good thing.
The hybrid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think remote is great, it's super easy, but I think it's important to be together and meet, so having the hybrid option is good, and if we could get the other committees on board, of course, they have to learn.
Yeah, so
How
I
to
think
do
that's
it.
one of the caveats that, you know, evening meetings, it's really a simple setup, but we can't have staff every night for every meeting. So
right.
I'm thinking that it's, you know, each chair or secretary of that committee needs to become technically proficient on the use of the OWL equipment here. But given that, we can open up to hybrid. So I think, you know, like planning board, certainly committees that have a lot of paperwork, diagrams and so forth, that's one thing that I think works much better in person for the committee. And then we'll continue the Zoom for the public to have easy access from home.
So the OWL setup is basically easy?
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy. I mean, there's a little bit of learning curve. People have seen, even, you know, I've used it before and we're still playing around a little bit, but generally the setup is very quick and easy.
And today was tricky because we added the HW cam
Yeah.
as well, but that wouldn't be for the majority of our boards and committees.
Right.
Right,
And we had an executive session, so it was like a double whammy.
a double whammy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a great idea.
All right, so we had previously voted to make the hybrid only for a select board
Right.
some time
I think
ago.
Margaret might have a comment. Margaret Hoffman.
Oh, yep. So,
Margaret?
Yeah, hi, I'm wondering if you anticipate, if other boards and committees use the hybrid, would they also allow public to come in to the in-person meeting? Or would it just be the board or committee that meets in person and then all of the public?
yeah, so if we're going hybrid, and that's good until, what, 31 March, under the governor's current declaration, it would be just the particular board members and the staff in the room physically present. And then all the public would still Zoom in.
Would the board have the option to not do that, to just meet in person? I'm just thinking of the planning board, because they have applicants come in who bring in those plans and wanna lay them out in front
Yes,
of them.
so,
Do you,
so currently.
yeah, how do you
you-
see that
yeah.
work?
So currently, you still have the option to go fully in person,
Okay.
right? Which goes back to the old pre-pandemic rules, so that you have to have the quorum, the remote has to be able to call in and so forth. You would want to review those rules, but then the public would be coming in person only without Zoom.
Okay, so if the public were to come in, if they wanted to do it, to allow the public to come in person, they would not use hybrid?
That's right. So you can go back to the pre-pandemic in-person meetings as we always held them. You can go with the current Zoom setup where everybody's on Zoom, or you can go with a hybrid, which means staff and board members in person and the public by Zoom. So you have three choices if we take the vote tonight.
So why can't you do hybrid with live people as well? Like, is it hard to put people in here when we have the OWL?
Because, you know, then you're splitting the public into different groups. You're saying some can come in from Zoom, others will be in person, and,
But you wouldn't be limiting, and those people that wanna come in could come in, and those that wanted to stay home.
yeah, but is that?
I think we could do that.
Yeah, the law
We'd have
does
to
allow,
check, but
The law
Under the hy-
allows it, but I don't know if
I
it's,
think the concern really stemmed from, well, A, the technology, B, the
Right.
space. So like the setup in here is not really conducive to.
it has to be set up like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, to having people in, but, I mean, I don't think the law precludes us from doing it. So
Well,
if a
check that,
board-
the
if a board-
governor's
yeah,
thing.
if a board felt that they could make it work with the existing technology, again, they'd be kind of the guinea pig, just so.
And in any case, the hybrid option goes away on the 31st of March, right?
yeah, it has the option to be extended.
Yeah, unless the governor extends it again. All right, so the first thing is,
How's that, Margaret?
So is that a yes or a no?
there's mud.
That's okay.
All right.
I mean, you wanna just give them the flexibility if they wanna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if the law allows for it,
Yeah.
I'll double check, and I'm 90% sure it
I
does
think
then.
it does, I
Yeah.
just think that this, like, I can't figure out where they would be. or-
But if it works for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
All right.
Okay. Okay, I'll discuss it once, after you make your vote, I can discuss it with the boards that I staff.
All right, so the motion then?
so I move to approve the hybrid meetings by other boards and committees upon completion of a training.
Clay seconds.
Roll call vote, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes,
Gary, yes.
what kind of training?
On the owl.
Right, who's doing the training?
Well, that's up to the particular committee, the chair or the secretary or a volunteer within the
Or
committee.
the administration, you need to.
Yeah, it'd
set
probably be like
trainings.
me, Michelle, Joe, one of the
Right,
three.
so I'm thinking maybe you try to set up a couple and see if people come, rather than going, there's a lot of boards and committees, you don't
Right.
wanna do them all separately.
Yeah, I don't know how much interest we're gonna have, but.
Okay,
Listen, maybe we'll try
Yeah,
it.
if there seems to be some interest, we'll set up some formal
Right.
trainings, but I have a feeling it's only gonna be one or two.
okay.
All right, so we've been working on updating the Veterans Committee charge, but there was concern from the Finance Committee that the current charge does not allow for a budget per se for the veterans. However, for some years now, and this year, we have a veterans funding line, and in fact are turning the responsibility for flags and other things over to the Veterans Committee.
From the
So-
DPW?
What?
Who had that responsibility before?
Well, the flags was a floater, right? So the cemetery did a little bit, DPW did a little bit, and we must give credit to the Wenham Fire Department Fund. For a long time, every other year, used their own funds to buy the new flags. So Veterans Committee is picking that up to consolidate into one place as a flag overall responsibility, as well as the Veterans Committee will have funding for the Memorial Day and the Veterans Day, Flag Day, and Wreath Across America activities, so they'll be their funding. So the Veterans Committee meets on Thursday to review the final draft, but tonight I would propose to make the one sentence change, and I think we got it here.
It's in the printout.
Is,
Next page?
yeah, so here's the draft as it sits now, if you want.
Different one. Oh, it's different?
Yeah, so it's draft, so this will just change the one bullet. Move to strike the first bullet under Finance and Administration and insert the words, "The Veterans Committee will be funded through the annual operating budget process." So with that will satisfy the Finance Committee concern, and then we'll move forward at another meeting to address the rest of the changes.
Sounds good.
Move to strike the first bullet under Finance and Administration in the Veterans Committee charge, and insert the words, "The Veterans Committee will be funded through the annual operating budget process."
Clay seconds.
And the roll call vote, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. All right. So that will take care of that, and that finishes the new business. Peter, anything else?
Nope.
Diane?
Nope.
So,
I
a
move,
longish meeting, but let's go.
so I move that,
The longest.
that we close the January 24th, 2023 Select Board meeting at 8:03.
Second.
And roll call vote, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. So thank you to the
Thank you.
public, the staff, and Catherine and Libby for the support, as well as Michelle. Doing all the work.